What's up, guys? It's Swin coming to you with another video. Today, we're going to be talking about something that everybody's kind of asked. It's been a big pain in everybody's side since Red Skills have come out, and that's been Epic City Watch. Obviously, City Watch has gotten so much more difficult from the days we were picking between easy and normal. Now, with hard and, of course, Epic coming out, it is much more difficult, but as we know, Epic City Watch is a must have in order to get those red skills unlocked for all of the heroes. So, with that being said, this video is going to go into depth on Epic City Watch. And again, I do apologize for not having a lot of videos out recently with everything going on, in my personal life and the world in general. It's been kind of crazy. But let's just go ahead and dive into this because I do believe that this video will be very helpful in order to help you make it through Epic City Watch. Now, one trick that I'm going to go ahead and add here right at the video, I can't really, there's no way to really say whether this tip works or not. I've heard especially higher level people swear by this that it does help. Before you start or reset your City Watch for the day, you can go into all of your heroes and basically unequip their friendship discs by clicking the little X in the bottom left hand corner to unequip the badge. I'm gonna go ahead and evolve that, yeah. Whoop yeah. But that'll lower all of the power, your overall power of every single hero, making your total overall power significantly lower. Now, City Watch is supposed to be based roughly on your level. Obviously, the lower you are, they're not going to give you the same City Watch as they do somebody who's got 5 million power more than you. They're going to make it a little bit more difficult for them. So, with that theory being in place, it would make sense to go ahead and if you are having trouble with City Watch, this might be something you want to do. Go ahead and unequip all of your discs on every single hero. I know it's a pain, but it might help you get through this and it might be worth it in the end. Another thing you can do, especially if you're lower level or lower in the guild, is hire. Try to hire somebody else's hero in the guild. Uh, I would suggest not having it be a hero you want to get red chips for. For instance, if you're trying to unlock Randall's red skill, don't go and hire another Randall because obviously that Randall will give you no progress towards your red skills themselves. You want to hire my favorite one currently to hire is a very high level Joy. Joy does not have a red skill, making her the perfect option because she wouldn't be giving, even if she was on your team, she wouldn't be giving you red chip skills anyway because she has no red skill. So when you go to hire, obviously hiring somebody without a red skill to fill a gap, say like I said, a Joy or maybe a Jafar, is the first choice. The second choice is obviously someone whose red skill you're not trying to get. So maybe you already have Randall's red skill unlocked. You may hire a very high level Randall to help you get through the City Watch and maybe put in a couple other smaller heroes that you don't have the red skills unlocked for. The last easy basic trick I'll go into is diversify. Do not use the same 5 heroes in every single match of the first couple of rounds. Spread them out. Make sure you have a few heroes that have their energy bar full. Basically, the more white skills that you have access to at any point in time, the better off you're going to be moving forward because you'll have more counters. Let's say, for instance, you need to, in one round, take out a really vicious Randall. Well, I've actually sent in a Beast by himself to clear an entire stage because Beast can outlive Randall. Or let's say a really nasty beast shows up. I can swap my line out to include a Jafar, and with his white skill, he can use his charm to control that beast, basically making him take out his entire team. Um, so, or let's say I have one of them, and at the end of the battle, they end with a really low health. Having multiple healers like Joy, Rafiki, Timon, and Pumbaa with that, you know, um, energy all the way up, make sure that they can heal right off the bat if you need them to. Obviously, Timon and Pumbaa's skill is not an instant one, but it is a good one for helping your team slowly heal towards the beginning of battle. If you add that to a Joy or a Fiki, you can make sure that even once they heal right away, they are still healing after the first few hits of damage that they take. So that's kind of my last big tip, is to just really diversify your heroes. Now, this isn't so much of a tip as just a hey, it's a reminder and kind of how I play my strategy. If you're going through City Watch and let's say you're on round 2, round 3, and you lose a few heroes, simply back out of the battle and try it again with a different team. You do not want to be losing any heroes that you plan on using in City Watch or using as backups or substitutions for your City Watch anywhere until maybe the last round, the third wave of the third round of the fourth wave. You really want to be able to not have anybody drop until round 5. The reason why is because you may get to the point where you just get stuck. You have no heroes left. You do not have the right counters. Even hiring somebody, let's say you get to the last round 5 or wave 5, round 3, and it's the last battle, and you still have to hire somebody. If he doesn't have that white skill right off the bat, he's going to have to charge. And if you don't have like a Randall or a Beast, this may be impossible for you to even get a white skill off. He may be destroyed by the enemy team, and you might not be able to get through it. So just remember, you do not have to take that first attempt. You can replay a level over and over again until you get the result that you want. And again, I suggest using that to make sure that your heroes stay alive. The next and biggest thing that I can go into is wards. Wards are what make hard and epic City Watch way more difficult than the other 2 levels of difficulty. Obviously, not just are they more difficult, but adding those wards onto battle gives the enemy certain advantages that are have different degrees of difficulty in varying with. This video, the main focus of this video is going to be going into the wards, and I will actually be attaching a picture of a visual aid that I had my roommate create for me because I have absolutely terrible handwriting, but it is written up beautifully. It will be a guide that goes along with this ward. So as you're watching this video, if you're in the guild, go ahead and pull that guide up right now and we'll go ahead and go into it. I will go into it here the only other way that I know how, which is basically going into City Watch, and here at the very end it gives you a whole list of all of the wards that are possible to be placed either against the enemies or in either to bolster the enemies or make your team weaker. Now, if you notice with the visual aid, it is constructed into 3 different categories. On the far right is wards that are considered annoying. These are wards that do make it a little bit more difficult, but honestly, it's more of an annoyance than an actual hindrance in beating the City Watch. I suggest if you see one of these 4 as your weekly ward, start loading epic City Watches, especially if the daily ward is also one of these or from the second category that I have listed as bad. And as you can see, as it goes from right to left, the colors get darker and the amount of the overall difficulty of dealing with that specific ward becomes worse. So on the right hand side, you'll see that the first one I have is increased enemy HP. That is an increase of 100%. And the reason that this is annoying and not anything worse is simply because HP only means that it's going to take longer to take those allies down. They're going to have more health. But if they're not causing any more damage and they're not affecting the damage that you do overall, it's basically just a deterrent. It makes the battle last longer. As long as you have a healer on your squad and you have a good squad that's put together, this one is not that big of a deterrent. It goes the same with increased enemy shield or enemy armor, reality, and shield. And as you notice, those have question marks after them because unlike the rest of the stats, they're not based on percentages. They have just stacked numbers. And as the breakers in invade as the battles go, it basically just adds these breakers onto it. If you'll notice, an invasion is what I was going to say. They're just random numbers that get stronger and stronger as the invasion level goes up. But those 4 specific ones over on the right hand side are the ones that are by far the least damaging overall to your squad because, like I said, increased armor, increased reality, a starting shield, extra HP. It's just going to make it harder to take down those enemies. A longer process, should I say. More time. Let's go ahead and move over to the bad. Bad is basically, this category exists because they're not annoying, they are deterrents, but a lot of these have ways to get around them or aren't necessarily super you can put specific teams in order to counter these effects. So let's go to the first one. Support and control allies gain 75% less energy. The only reason that this one isn't as hurtful is for the simple reason that if you have a few healers on your team, you can kind of spread out the heals. Yes, they won't get as much energy. Obviously, most of your healers are support and or control. In fact, most of them are support. But with that being said, you can rely on other characters such as tanks and damage characters with self heals. You can swap out your line so you don't necessarily need to have support in heavy support or control line. Reduced ally attack speed. The reason why this one's not worse is because obviously you can get around it. There are tons of characters in the game. Duke Kaboom, Goofy, the list goes on and on of people that give their allies increased attack speed. So if this is the debuff that you're going up against, the only thing you have to do to get around it is bring people onto your squad that give team attack speed boosts. This will allow you to counter the effects of that. Now, obviously, right away, you can't, but as soon as they use those skills, you will be able to counter this effect. Reduced ally skill power. This one you would think would be much more devastating. However, remember, not every hero relies on skill power. So with that being said, you could easily align with normal damage heroes and get around that buff. Reduced ally healing from all sources is minus 75%. Again, there's ways to get around this. Bring in multiple healers. If you have 2-3 healers, it doesn't matter if the healing is so low. With everybody having all of their heals go off at the same time, you can overall kind of negate the effects of that buff. You will still feel them. It won't have obviously as many heals as you should, but that's just kind of something to keep in track. Is reason those 4 are in the middle is because there's ways around them. Now, let's go into a little bit more detail on the devastating ones. These are the absolute worst of the worst. Now, if you'll see on the screen, that little tiny, there's a little tiny castle that looks kind of broken. It's attacking enemy tanks take extra damage. It is 100% extra damage. This is absolutely devastating. You got somebody up front that you're supposed to be having take all the damage, and they're taking twice, yes, twice the amount of damage that they normally would from every single attack. They get wiped out quick. Yes, you can use a hero like Meg to counter this, but unless you have a single tank out front, this can be devastating for lines. It is very hard. In fact, the Meg um, sort of go around, if you will, is the only way I really know how to get around this one. If you don't have Meg on your line, this will destroy any tanks you have up front very, very quickly. The next one we're going to point out is allied damage heroes 75% less attack. So if you'll see, that one's right underneath the enemy tank one. It's the swords that look, the sword and axe that look like they're all busted up. And the reason this one is so devastating is obviously damage heroes are who you are relying on to cause your damage. So if they're causing 75% less damage, I mean, it's horrible to your overall attack power. Enemies are immune to disables. This one is next to impossible to get around. You can see it's down there. It's the second one from the bottom. It's the little one that the guy is like flexing. This is one of my least favorite ones to see. It makes characters like Jafar worthless. You cannot freeze anybody. You cannot charm anybody. You cannot slow. I mean, you cannot do jack crap as far as controlling the battle. And it is very, very frustrating. In fact, this is by far my least favorite thing to go up against. When you can't disable people, it changes the way battle works completely. The last two things on this one that are really devastating are increased enemy skill power and basic damage. You can see obviously they're down up here at the top, but with that being said, when they are causing 100% extra damage, we are talking again twice the damage. You have got to bring in beefy heroes, making sure that you have heals going off, making sure that every skill is attacking correctly. And like I said, the reason that these are on the devastating list instead of maybe the bad is because they allow them to do so much more damage so quickly that even with a good team, sometimes it is very hard to keep heroes alive long enough to get to the heals, long enough to let Beast use his white skill, long enough to let Randall go invisible, long enough just in order to make the combat work. So again, the guide will be posted here with the video on the links on the Discord page. They are intended to be used hand in hand. So obviously, don't watch, if you're watching this video, like I said, when I queued you up, go ahead and look at the thing. I hope that this really helped. I did take a lot of time researching this, kind of just putting together, doing a lot of back and forth. So if there's anything I missed, please feel free to comment, hit me back, let me know how I can make these videos better for everyone in the future. And I do hope, again, that everybody learned something from this, and have a great rest of your day.